Let's take a look at how we can use a powerful piece of software called AutoHotKey to solve all kinds of problems. We're going to do something really simple so as not to scare any of you off, while at the same time igniting the spark of what's possible in your mind. Now, like many of you, I use Google Sheets from time to time. Something I find myself doing frequently is merging cells to make the spreadsheet either look prettier or just more readable. Now, I'm a big keyboard shortcut guy. In many cases, it just makes things easier and quicker because asking me to lift my arm off the keyboard to click something with my mouse is asking too damn much. I'm kidding. Now, strangely, there is no keyboard shortcut for merging cells. Why? I don't know, but that's where AutoHotKey comes in. You see, I like to think of AutoHotKey as a means of adding features that suit my needs that the developers of the software I use did not include. So let's take a look at how we can add a hotkey that merges highlighted cells. Installing AutoHotKey is an exercise of seeing if you have a functioning brain, so we'll skip that. For the most part, there is no traditional graphical user interface for AutoHotKey. Instead, we mostly just deal with text files. All you need to do is navigate to a folder of your choosing, right-click on the empty space, hover over New, and select AutoHotKey script. After giving it a name, we'll right-click it and select Edit Script. This will open your file in the default Notepad app, which is most likely Notepad. I use something else, but it really doesn't matter. There's some stuff written at the top, but let's just ignore that for now. The next step is to pick a button that you want to trigger the little script we're going to write. We can pick any key or combination of keys, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just pick F10 because it's one button and it's rarely ever used. We start by typing F10, : pressing enter twice, and then return. The stuff between the two colons and return will be what the button does every time we press it. Don't forget the return. To see our script in action, let's make it so that when we press F10, the computer beeps. So let's type sound beep between the colons and return. Let's press Ctrl S to save. Then we'll navigate to the folder our script is in and double click it. We can see there's a green H on our taskbar, and if we press F10, we can hear our computer beep. Sweet. Now, if we go back to our spreadsheet, I'll note that there are a few different ways to merge cells. Pressing the merge button or navigating through the menu both require the mouse. We could press Alt/, search for merge cells, and press enter, but that's pretty cumbersome too. We can use AutoHotKey to emulate all of these methods, but let's go with the last one since it only involves keystrokes and that'll be really easy to emulate. Now we want to emulate key presses, and the way that we do that is by using the send command. Let's stop here so that I can mention something about AutoHotKey and all kinds of scripting or programming languages. There's no way you're going to hold all the information in your head and have it readily accessible at all times. Fortunately, you don't have to. All you need is to be able to search, so there's no need to be intimidated. With the internet, just knowing what you can do with AutoHotKey is almost as good as remembering how to do it. If you go to Google and type send AHK, AHK is AutoHotKey, by the way, the first link that comes up is the AutoHotKey documentation for send. Having access to the documentation is like always having a friend around that you can ask, hey, how do I do that thing again? And they never get tired of telling you. There are always examples at the bottom so you can see what your script might look like. So we see here that we can type send, then type the keys we want to press. We also have a little list of the symbols we use to emulate pressing the form modifier keys available to us: Control, Shift, Alt, and the Windows key. You'll become very familiar with these if you continue to use AutoHotKey, but for now, we'll just remember that typing ! Is like pressing Alt, such that send ! A is equivalent to pressing Alt A. We can see further down that to send some particular keys, we use curly braces and the name of the key inside, like enter or escape, and so on. So let's go back to our script. We'll type send ! to emulate pressing Alt/. Then we'll type send merge all, which is like us typing merge all into the text box. Let's stop here to mention a couple of useful nuggets. When you're first working on your script, you oftentimes want to test out whether what you've written so far accomplishes what you're looking for. So what I like to do is create a hotkey that saves the document and reloads it so that we can test out any updates we made. Doing that is easy. Just type F12, send $S, which is like pressing Control S for save, and then type reload, which is an AutoHotKey command to reload the script, and then return. Next, we'll save and reload the script so that we don't have to keep doing that. The other thing I want to mention is that AutoHotKey works fast, oftentimes faster than programs we use, depending on the operation we're trying to emulate. So we have to give the programs we use some breathing room to process what we gave them before sending the next emulated keystroke. For that, we have the sleep command. Let's just search that real quick to see what the documentation says. Go to Google, type sleep AHK. We see that we can type sleep and then the time in milliseconds, and that'll make the script stop for the allotted time so that AutoHotKey sends the next keystroke when the program is ready to accept it. How do we know how much time it should sleep for? We don't, but that's why we made that save and reload hotkey. We can change the time, save and reload with F12, and then test out our hotkey with F10. For the most part, anywhere from 50 milliseconds to a few hundred milliseconds should be a good starting range to work off of. Sometimes you gotta play around with where you put the sleep and how long the sleep is when you're doing this brute force method. Let's try sleep 50. And then we want to send the enter key, so we type send, and then the curly braces enter. Let's save and reload with F12, go back to our spreadsheet, highlight some cells, and then press F10. Drumroll, shit. Looks like we need our script to wait a little longer for Google Sheets to catch up. So let's try 200. F12 to save and reload, go back to our spreadsheet, highlight some cells, F10, and whoo! There we go.